It's a real pleasure to be with you this morning. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I am a research fellow at the University of Minnesota. Our family moved here 9 years ago maybe, for me to get a PhD in housing. I was studying international housing and international poverty. And before moving here, I'd gone all over the world and seen sort of what it looks like to live on $2 a day. And that was where my heart was, dare I say, the deserving poor. Now, I'm going to start off today sharing this because I want you to be comfortable with wherever you are around the topic of homelessness. I want us to just be completely comfortable and honest in ourselves of where we are. And so I share my own journey into homelessness. Again, I was looking at international poverty and international housing, and the Lord captured my heart as we moved here and we were in this program doing this research. And he said, it's time to look at poverty in your own backyard. And I was like, I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to look at homelessness in America. And God said, it's time to look at poverty in your own backyard. And we wrestled a little bit, and he won. He usually does. And it wasn't hard. Our family, when we moved here, we moved from California. 9 years, we now consider ourselves Minnesotans. We have all the right gear. It took us a lot of years to figure that out. I thrifted it for the first few years, and then I was like, no, you got to get the good stuff. So we're here. We moved to downtown St. Paul, and that's where we have lived for the last 9 years. And so it's simply just opening my eyes to people that were among us, on park benches, on the light rail that I rode to and from the university every day of work, just at the stop signs, and so forth. Actually, people are among us. It is often the most despised and unloved and unwanted of our society. It really is. I think that I'm not alone in having that as a starting place and saying, I really don't want to look. You definitely don't have to raise your hand, but you can ask yourself, have you ever been at the stop sign? There's someone there, they're holding a sign, and you're like, please, God, if you love me, you'll turn the light green. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and we don't know how to enter in a really authentic and genuine way. And then all the thoughts start to bombard us, right? Like you're sitting at the stop sign, and you're just like, I don't have anything to give. What do I give? Do I give? What did we decide as a family? I can't remember. Am I going to give cash? No, I heard that they're just going to go use it at drugs. Or maybe they're just pulling one over on me, and they actually end up making $100,000 a year, and this isn't real. Or I know there's social services downtown. They should just go downtown. Why are they here? All these thoughts just kind of bombard us, and they overtake human empathy. And human empathy says, I have no idea what has brought this person to this moment, but I'm here, and they're here, and I'm human, and they're human, and we're on this earth together in this moment, and what if I were to just roll down my window and look them in the eye and recognize their humanity and my humanity? It could be as simple as saying, I can't fathom what life is like for you. Can't even fathom it, and I don't quite understand, and I don't really even know how to help you, but I see you, and I'm going to be thinking about you today. And I'm going to be just sending so much love and hope that this day is going to get better. I'm not going to forget about you today. I'm going to be thinking about you all day. And then think about them all day. Whatever comes to your mind. Father, bring them a warm bed. Bring them a kind word. Whatever that looks like. Man, you might be the only person in their day that's giving them a kind word. You might be the only person in their day that's looking at them in the eye. Because again, this is the despised, unloved, and unwanted of our society. We turn away and we say, I don't want to look at this. It's so messy. And it is. Today I'm talking to you about people that are in chronic homelessness. It's people that have experienced a lifetime of neglect and abuse and violence, often from childhood, like really, really broken childhoods. Like my neighbor Debbie, whose mom began drugging her at the age of 2 and pimping her out. Come on, guys. Like, that's a real story, and that's not even like a crazy one. There's 100% of people that are in chronic homelessness have significant trauma, usually from childhood. And so fast forward 50 years and you see Debbie holding a sign on the street corner, and then all those thoughts are going through your heads, right? She's pulling one over on me. I'm sure she makes $100,000. There's social services downtown. Why is she here? She should pick herself up by the bootstraps. Government assistant. I'm not supposed to give money. She's on drugs. But then when you think about 2-year-old Debbie and you think, man, did she have a chance? The drug addiction was given to her, and the lost connection from the very moment she's entering into the world with the person you're supposed to be closest with is severed. And so she doesn't have any trusted relationships in her life. You know, relationships can only move at the speed of trust, and social change can only move at the speed of relationship. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build trusted relationships with people that have experienced a lifetime of severed relationships. So we say, what would it be like to cultivate home in a homeless world? Because if this is a group of people that have really maybe never experienced home, in that deep, authentic, honest self, like when you're coming home from a trip and you put down your bags and you've been gone for a long time and you walk in the door and you take a deep breath and you say, I'm home. Oh, we're home. Oh. That's what we want to give people. We don't want to give them shelter. We don't want to give them transitional housing. We don't want to give them another stop or another boot or another fix it yourself or another program. We want to give them the essence of home. You are welcome and wanted here. That's what home says, right? I am welcome and wanted here. And so that's what we're trying to do. And so we say, Fred, help a girl out. How do I make it do the thing it's supposed to do? We don't have a Fred in our organization because we're like this big. But man, someday.
That's right. I'll try. Let's see. I think we got to click on to.
Is it that?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the question that I want to pose for us today. And I want to hold this in our hearts and in our minds, in our spirits, in our souls. What if we invited the outcasts of our society to the banquet table? We set a banquet table all the time. We set it in our homes. We set it in our churches. We set it at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We set the banquet table. Are we inviting the outcasts to come and sit and feast too? God is. He certainly tells us we're going to be rubbing elbows together in eternity with the poor, so we might as well invite them in now. What does that look like? What does it look like for an existing community with a lot of health in it to invite a few people that are really on the outskirts and to say, come into all this health. Come into all this abundance. Come and sit and dwell and feast and inhabit. What might that be? This is my buddy Alan, and this is his table. Out in the woods of St. Paul. He grew up in the foster care system. At 18, he aged out of foster care and has been on the streets for a decade. One time I'm driving with Alan, and he tells me, you know, Gabrielle, nobody ever taught me right from wrong. As a 28-year-old man who's never been taught right from wrong. Nobody cherished him as a boy. Nobody said, "What are you good at? What are your dreams? What instrument do you want to play?" I know that my parents let me try like 10 instruments in my childhood. Essentially, it's a group of people that their childhoods have sort of been stolen away. And so what is it like when they're in adulthood? Is it discard? I'm so sorry. I wish we'd gotten you when you were children, but now you have no proper place in society? Or is it, Alan, come and be here. Come and be here. And let's see what you were designed for. Let's look at Alan with delight and say, you were made for something great. And my life is going to change as your life is going to change. We'll get back to Alan in just a little bit. I want to tell you 5 huge barriers to inviting the outcasts into our abundance. I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have enough affordable housing in Minnesota or the nation. I don't know if you've also noticed, but homelessness is rising. It's becoming more visible. Raise your hands if you see visible homelessness within your daily or weekly or monthly life. Yeah, it's growing. So raise your hand if you've ever tried to help someone in homelessness. Look, you're in good company. All the do-gooders. Raise your hand if you were able to get someone off the streets and into a home. Hey, we got to talk. See how you did that. It's challenging. It's a complicated, wicked problem. It's really challenging. There's, for one, a group of people that are socially isolated, right? Outcast, socially isolated. No proper place in society. Nobody wanting to live next to them. There's unaffordable housing up the wazoo. There's restricted land use, meaning you can't just put affordable housing wherever you want. The neighbors kind of rise up and say, no, not here. Not in my backyard, not around my land use values. You're going to increase crime. All of that. There's also lack of job opportunities and meaningful job opportunities, and then an enormous web of services that are super fragmented, and a huge, huge chasm between the helping professionals and the person that needs the social services. Hey, we've got really great social services, but folks aren't getting to them because, back to social isolation, they're hiding out in the woods, under bridges, under highways. I spent the last 8 years just going to the craziest places, caves, and propelling down and finding a cave and seeing people have carved their homes out of the hillside. People are trying to survive, but there's no proper place for them. This is a photo from our very first sacred settlement. A sacred settlement is a different way of life. It's recognizing people have great value, that they are special and unique and a one-of-a-kind, unrepeatable miracle, just like you and I. This is a community of 6 tiny homes on church land. We renovated the church building to be the common house, to be a portion of the building to be the common house. Bathrooms, showers, kitchen, laundry, dining, places for puzzles and birthday parties, and Alan playing his flute. 4 of the homes are filled with people coming out of chronic homelessness. This is the hardest to house, most expensive to the public. I'm talking, the population that we all want to kind of turn our eye from. There are no good options out there. Because we're not trying to concentrate poverty, there's 2 homes filled with what we call intentional neighbors. These are people that come from relatively healthy, happy backgrounds and are choosing to live among the poor, choosing to have a life with the poor. This says, we aren't trying to hide you away. We aren't trying to kick you out of this city. We aren't saying, not in this park, not in this neighborhood. Go into that shelter. Go into this transitional housing. No, 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 not here. Away, away, away. We're saying, come. Come and be here. And then to have resource people choosing to live there. Not as tattletales, not as people to fix anyone, as if any one of us know how to fix another human. Challenging enough to fix ourselves, right? But to just walk alongside people and to see them and to have daily interactions with folks. It overcomes that social isolation. It says, come out of the darkness and into the light, and let's walk alongside each other, and it will change my life, and it'll change your life. To overcome affordable housing, we've built truly affordable homes. Your congregation has built 2 homes. That means you've lifted 2 people up off the streets. You've added 2 new units of affordable housing in our state, and you've changed probably infinite lives with all the people that engage with it. It's a really simple, beautiful, affordable way to enter in. The homes are built just like a new single-family construction with the same quality of materials and durability and longevity. So it really is adding to our housing stock. We put passive strategies in the home to lower the development costs. So it means we have a really neat compost toilet that was designed by a real-life rocket scientist in our warehouse. We have a workshop over in Maplewood. And then we have a gravity-fed water tank and a catch basin below. And you can empty that out into the greenhouse or the garden beds or into the church. Essentially, it makes this the most affordable housing development in our entire nation. Restrictive land use is the number one reason that we don't build affordable housing, enough of it. Because the moment that a developer says, okay, we're going to build affordable housing here, the neighbors rise up, all hot and bothered, and just come screaming to city council. And the city council goes, never mind, not here. And so we concentrate affordable housing. It's in your Brooklyn Park and your Brooklyn Center, and it's not in other communities. But there's a federal land use law that allows churches to use their land in conjunction with their mission. And so it's like this golden ticket. It's like if the church says that our mission is to care for the poor, and the way that we want to care for the poor is by creating an intentional tiny home community on our land, then the neighbors kind of rising up and saying, no, not here, kind of falls flat. However, we also want to be friendly and kind and loving to those neighbors too. And so how do we create spaces that are of beauty and excellence and quality and make surrounding neighbors actually really excited when they hear that a sacred settlement is coming into their neighborhood? Like as if a new Trader Joe's was coming near your house. You're like, yay. That's what we want a sacred settlement to be. We want it to be synonymous with quality and beauty and excellence. And we want the local church to be synonymous with quality and beauty and excellence to surrounding neighborhoods. We want them to be seen as cities on hills of great warmth and light that attract many, not just the people that go to the church, but all surrounding it. And so a sacred settlement is a place where you can add meaning, deep, deep meaning to existing church land and building that's already there, that's already being paid off or is paid off, and that's protected under a really strong land use law. In fact, it's so strong that we've been lobbying the state of Minnesota for 3 years saying, hey, this is what a sacred settlement is, here's how it operates, here's how it runs, and hey, it has the protection of this federal law. And wouldn't you just write it into your code, Minnesota, so that you can recognize the right for any church that wants to do this to be able to do that? In the first year, they said, I don't think so. And then the second year they said, maybe. And then the third year they said, all right, let's do it. And so in January of 2024, doesn't that sound like space age, 2024? Oh my gosh. Okay, so in space age, in just like 2 months from now, it's written into state law that any church that wants to plant a sacred settlement can. It's already all there. And so now it's a calling to the local church. Okay, church, what does it look like to open up our doors, to open up our land, and to invite a few outcasts of our society to the banquet table? Folks get into homes. They're finally, they're settled. They're starting to grow roots. They're starting to build trusted relationships. And then they're twiddling their thumbs. Because when you're on the streets, and the folks that live in our sacred settlements, on average, have been on the streets for about 10 years. 10 years of hustling, of running from here and there to find a shower and a meal and a clean outfit that just consumes, and to try to stay safe, especially women. Especially women. If you've been on the streets for a few days, you have been violated. I mean, that's just the reality. It's a rough place. If you're a man on the streets, within a few days, you've been harassed, beaten, shown violence. It's a really challenging place to be. It's how do you start to fill your time with healthy habits and healthy ways of living and healthy hobbies? And again, we're talking about a group of people whose childhoods have been stolen away. And so part of what we get to do is kind of offer lots of different ways of expressing and creating and making and doing. And so we have purposeful workshops throughout the week where people can come and learn new skills and make good things. And then those things are sold and used within the community so that Valerie here is hearing all throughout the month from the community that surrounds her, Valerie, I loved that new soap scent that you made this month. It's just great. And she's hearing from another lady and another person. And so you're starting to repair a lifetime of you're worthless, you are unwanted, you are unloved, no, not here, out of this park, out of this city, no. Now she's settled somewhere, and she's hearing, you make good things. You make good things that I want to buy and use, and I am so glad to know you and be in relationship with you. And so she's starting to hear those things. And so offering purposeful work. Every one of our folks that are chronically homeless, it's a federal definition, are also chronically disabled. Essentially, if you've been on the streets that long, there's a disability that comes along with it. Oftentimes, significant head trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, all sorts of things. So you're not going to just go get a job at Goodwill or Walmart. You're going to have bad days. So we create work opportunities where people can still earn a dignified income and make good things, but work at their pace and work on days where they feel good, because they're going to have bad days. It also creates an opportunity for folks to, again, earn dignified income so that they can pay their rent. It's a rental model, meaning everyone has skin in the game, and it's actually super dignified to offer people the ability to pay rent on their home. We just create rents that people can afford, like $200 and $300 a month. And then we help them create work opportunities where they can earn that. And then we surround each person with a community of supportive friends. It's lay volunteers that are trained up to walk alongside people and help be that bridge to the helping professionals. And as trusted relationships are built, you have the ability to gently and slowly suggest things that might help them in their healing journey. And so, hey, a tooth that's been hurting them for 5 years, after a while of building that trusted relationship, saying, maybe my dentist might be willing to look at that. Would you consider going in? There's so much mistrust with the system, with providers. They feel judged. Don't want to go into the doctor. I feel judged. And so this group of supportive friends help be the cushion and the nurturing and the support to walk alongside people. And it's a really beautiful and intentional and necessary thing. So essentially what I did here was I walked you through the 5 key elements of my research. So I researched intentional communities, chronic homelessness, tiny home villages for many, many years. And from that doctoral research, I identified 5 things that are absolutely necessary if we're going to respond to the outcasts of our society, if we're going to respond to chronic homelessness in a holistic way. And so that's what those were. Let's go over them real quick. We've got intentional neighbors. People are choosing to live next to the chronically homeless, not pushing away. Permanent homes. This is a place of home. It's not just housing. You're not just a resident, you're a neighbor. This is permanent. You are allowed to live here as long as you wish. We hope that you do. We hope you grow deep, deep roots and deep trusted relationships. Cultivated place. We are opening up our church building and land to add meaning and purpose and activity all throughout the week. A way of life. Purposeful work. Adding meaning to people's day, making good things that are useful and functional, and supportive friends. These 5 things make up actually what we all need. Look at this. Neighbors, homes, place, work, friends. We actually all need all of these. There's no different than the person on the street corner or you. We all need this to live a whole life. To date, we've established an urban sacred settlement in St. Paul at Mosaic Christian Community. We've established a suburban sacred settlement in Roseville. One of the homes that you sponsored and built is now there. We have changed Minnesota law. So we changed law in St. Paul, we changed law in Roseville, and then, so we were going city by city, but we also changed Minnesota law. So now we don't need to go city by city. This is just exists. We're now working in Duluth and establishing a sacred settlement there, and we're also working with communities in Michigan and Maine to establish sacred settlements. We don't look at this as just a local expression of how to respond to homelessness. We want to invite anyone in any local church across America who has a call and compelled to invite the outcasts into their abundance. We want to walk alongside them and help them do this. So we do this in 3 ways. We help develop sacred settlements. So the church continues to own and operate the land, but we help get it developed and kind of set up all the processes and the policies and the training, and then offer ongoing mentorship and training as maintenance to that sacred settlement. We also have a workshop where we put together tiny home kits, deliver them to the church, like we've done with yours and many other churches. Over 12 weeks, the church builds up the home, and then there's so many touch points for that congregation to enter into a critical conversation around homelessness. You can invite your youth in. Your youth built us Adirondack chairs for one of our sacred settlements, and came out to our workshop. And we've met with the owls, and we've met with you had a team, a staff building day where they built out the deck, and there's the family night where you can build the flower boxes, and the youth group can come and build the garden beds, and you can have a hospitality team and a prayer team, and essentially it's a physical manifestation of something deep that's happening in us as a community when we're talking about poverty and homelessness and the other. And so the workshop is our our way of building these kits and sending them out to churches to build them up and have critical conversations. And really also, very usefully, very, very useful, is to add housing to our state. And then finally, a homestead. This has been a dream for many years, and we just started it about 6 months ago. But essentially, it's the full ethos of what we're talking about when we say inhabit the land. And so this is just all sorts of kind of ancient, maybe traditional ways of cultivating home. And it's a lot of programs and activities that church leaders can come and experience and then say like, oh, that might be good at our sacred settlement. That might be good in our congregation. And so it's, things that you probably know about and you probably do already yourself or have done, like baking bread, feeding a sourdough starter, but maybe other things that you've never done you're kind of interested in, like fermenting vegetables or making kombucha. And so essentially it's useful, quality, good things to make, but to make it in community. It's creating opportunities to just build relationships. It's like what you guys did here today, folding the washcloths. It was an activity to be done in community, like it's meant to be sitting alongside someone else and folding and talking and connecting. It's more and more opportunities to tether our hearts together. And so that is what the homestead is. Now, I also want to show you just photos from our sacred settlements. And I want to open it up for questions. So this will just kind of play behind us, and then I want to hear questions from you all.
I have a microphone.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, right. I'll be right there.
How do you decide who gets a home?
Yeah.
What's the process of that?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that question. So we work with like-minded agencies. We've done street outreach for about 8 years. So we probably know 100 people on the streets of St. Paul by face, by name, by story, because we've been showing up in their lives every single week with survival gear. And so that's how we've selected the first neighbors. But as this expands kind of beyond St. Paul, in Roseville, we connected with the Roseville police. Like your elected, your police force know who the chronically homeless are in your city. And so really having strong relationships with the police, with the first responders, with the fire department, also changing the relationship with law enforcement and our folks in chronic homelessness, because that's sort of broken. And we want to also heal that too. So we ask our law enforcement, we ask our first responders, hey, when you're not on a call, would you just swing by the sacred settlement and just walk around and be a friendly face? Let's change that. Let's build relationship at every level.
So if I'm like, or if anybody else in this room is like me, within my own extended family and dear friends and their extended families, we know family members that are homeless.
Yeah.
And sadly, what I've heard is that a lot of homelessness is caused by untreated mental illness as well as addiction issues. And I know within the people that I know that is true, that families are at their wits' end of trying to help people they love. So it's not that many of the people don't even have friends. They do have friends, but it gets exhausting for families and friends to know how to help.
Yes.
How do those people fit in? And do you see that same thing? And then how do those people fit into this model?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. There's no shame around the family who hasn't been able to help that person. It's not, you can't just say, oh, you're on the street because your mom drugged you and pimped you. You can say you're on the street because you have experienced a profound and catastrophic loss of family. Whatever that looks like, maybe like a really ugly divorce, or dad not in the picture, or dad very domineering, or it's essentially chronic homelessness is the breakdown of a lot of systems, starting with family systems, community systems, church systems, government systems. It's just the breakdown. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing people that are in deep, deep, dark pits. And almost always, it cannot be the biological family that helps lift someone out, because there's so many triggers. And also, we tend to, kind of in family theory, we tend to play the same role that we played in childhood. So if you were like the annoying little sister kind of growing up, even when you're an adult with your siblings, you're still the annoying little sister. It's like you can't get away from it. And so it's really hard to help for biological families to help people that are in with a lot of mental illness and substance abuse. It almost always kind of needs to be strangers saying, we will welcome you in, because you don't have all those triggers. You don't have them, they don't have them. So there's really cool research in Hale, Belgium. They've been helping people with mental illness for about 700 years. And basically just, they call them boarders, and they welcome them into just a family home as like another person at the table. And 700 years is an incredible success rate. So again, there's no shame if you have chronic homelessness in your family or in your background. It's not like your family has failed. It's that there are other strangers that are meant to step in. I want to say, God forbid, if any of my children ever end up in chronic homelessness and they aren't responding to me and my husband or to our family, I would want one of you to step in. And I would want to do that for you. That's what we want. We don't totally know why, someone might not respond to the help, but that's it. It's that we want to see people as our own children. I want to look at someone on that street corner as if it's my own brother, my own sister.
Is there another question? I'm coming.
I don't need a microphone. I see in the photos the people sitting having dinner together. Do they communally eat, or do they have kitchens or is that people from the church?
Oh,
I was
sure.
just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so every tiny home has its own small kitchen. It has a mini fridge, a hot plate, a tea kettle. So you can make a simple meal in there. You can wash your hands. You can wash a simple dish. A very small, simple, you can make a fried egg, you can make a sandwich, you can make mac and cheese. If you want to make a larger meal, like our buddy David loves to make like roasts, and he makes awesome roasts. You do that in the common house. And what you're seeing with people gathered together, so there's meals all the time. Don't you know that we gather around food. Food is love in a lot of ways, and it's kind of the lubricant, the social lubricant. So there's a lot of food and a lot of meals. On a normal week, there'll be lots of informal meals together. Our intentional neighbors many of them choose to just have their breakfast in the common house, and just to be available and open and there. It's not anything scheduled or structured. Once a week, all the inhabitants, so everyone that lives in the tiny homes, people that have come out of homelessness and people that have come out of homes that all live there, have a family meeting, they call it a huddle, and then a family meal together. And so in those family huddles, it's really awesome. You're just kind of working things out and having like those good family conversations, and then a family meal. And then once a month, the larger community gathers together. So at Sacred Settlement Mosaic, it's about a community of about 50 coming from about a dozen different churches. And so it's just individuals, couples, families that have kind of committed to being a part of that community. So it happens on lots of different scales. Yeah.
I'm coming.
Hi, I'm Mary Robertson, and I have made it my mission to work with the homeless. I work for a group called Soul Care for Souls.
Yes.
And it was brought into a vision and a calling, similar to your calling, from Kathy Bisson. She's a very devoted member of our group. And since then, we've gotten about maybe 50 or 60 nurses and maybe the same amount of helpers to serve with the people. We serve at 4 or 5 different areas in St. Paul and Minneapolis. What we've seen the myriad of situations. Some patients come and they're drugged out of their mind. Some patients come and they're making a drug deal with their cell phone. Some people come and are devoted to getting better feet and better health. We pray for every single patient, no matter what their needs are, and we hug them at the end. And that sounds kind of gross to hug a homeless person, but they love it, and they have developed much trust from us. Mm-hmm. And so when they see us, they say, "Oh, Mary Kay, my prayer was answered. I got a home." And so it's quite encouraging. Yeah. And I'm so glad I do it.
Yeah, that's really good. One of our intentional neighbors, a husband and wife. The husband is an engineer for the state, and the wife is a nurse of 30 years at United. They were a part of Soul Care for many, many, many years, and they were so thankful to have those interactions. And I think that paved the way for them to then kind of sell the American home and dream and move into a tiny home and live alongside people. Anything that's relational, that allows that's such a relational ministry. It's not just it's really humble, and it's taking time to see people and serve them relationally. And those hugs matter. A lot of times they're just never given affection, touch.
Got right back here, Gabrielle.
Oh, okay.
So who funds the meals and that for them then?
Their meals?
Yeah.
So everyone buys their own food, for their homes, and then the weekly huddle for the weekly family dinner. There's been churches that have just kind of stepped up and said, we want to bring a meal. So it's kind of like a meal train to just bring the family dinner each week. And then the monthly community dinner is a big, giant, delicious potluck.
How are they paying the rent and the food if they don't have jobs?
Yes. So we help increase people's rent in 3 ways. One is that because they are federally chronically disabled, they all qualify for disability. But they're not on it because disability is challenging to get on. And so that's where those supportive friends come in and help walk alongside them. And guess what? When you're getting on disability, you basically have to say, it's a humbling experience. So if and when people want to go down that road, we will walk alongside them and help them get any government benefits that they qualify for. Second one is that the common house needs to be cleaned. There's a common laundry room and a shower and a kitchen. Now, everyone is responsible for cleaning up after themselves, but like any of us in our homes, everything needs a deep clean. And so every week you can sign up to do a deep clean on different parts of the common house, and then it reduces your rent by an amount. So you can reduce your rent up to X amount, and then the rest of it, that's cash, they can earn that cash from our purposeful workshops, where they're making leather goods and soaps and beeswax candles and sauerkraut and kombucha and all sorts of good things that are then sold at the community dinners, for folks. So there's lots of ways for people to increase their income, and creating lots of opportunities for that.
One last, I'll be right there.
I have 2 quick questions. Number one, do they have furnaces? I mean, are they able to stay warm in the winter? The other thing is, we hear so often that a lot of homeless people cannot get Social Security because they don't have a a address.
Yeah.
So once these people have an address, can they like use the church to get like a social security check? I mean, does that also become a possibility then?
Yeah, absolutely. This opens up all those possibilities for them. This is a home. This is a dress. You are allowed to be here indefinitely. We see so many like reunited, families. We don't necessarily see kids moving back in, but they still get to be mom, still get to be dad, still get to have a place to host. So much of the beauty of having a home is being able to extend hospitality. And so not only, yes, they can receive mail, they can receive packages, but they can also extend hospitality now, either in their home or in the church building. We make sure that the church building the part that we've renovated feels like an extension of the home. So we're very thoughtful and intentional about the things that we put into the homes. If you would not want to sleep or use something used, we don't think that they would. And so our mattresses are new, our sheets are new. But if it doesn't really matter if it's used, like, hey, a cast iron that's been around for 100 years is actually really better. It's been seasoned. So that is kind of our mentality around the homes, is that they're simple, they're functional, but they're high quality, as if we were creating it for, our brother or our sister. And then, yes, they're all heated. They are just cozy little nests. They can be heated in a few different ways. They can be heated with, it's really dependent on the site, but gas, solar, electric, just depending on how that church site looks.
Well, if you want to hear more about Settled, I would invite you to come to the Owls gathering in January. Gabrielle will be there along with Mildred, who kind of helps coordinate the furnishings for the homes. And it's just fascinating. We, as a staff, we were so excited to meet the guy who was working on the toilet.
Larry.
Larry.
It's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
He moved from Arizona to Minnesota to do this. He just voluntarily did that, and he was just so giddy that they gave him an actual workshop space within their big building to do it, and he's on a roll.
He is
Yeah.
a real life rocket scientist.
A real life, yeah.
Designing, innovating the coolest compost toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So anyway, we thank you for coming and sharing with us. For those of you that feel moved to help furnish a home, we know it's Christmas time and everybody's got lots of different opportunities to give, so it's a no pressure thing, but there are items, cards on the table there. It's anything from dish soap, to a broom, to a pillowcase. I think we still have one mini fridge left to get. That might be something small group would want to go together on. But you can pick that up if you need help. Some of the items are available. Lord of Life has an Amazon wish list for this, so you can find that on our website as well. You can have items shipped right here. I already got a fridge and some scissors.
Thank you.
Yeah, she didn't even know that. So, yeah. So let's give Gabrielle a hand.